Well, hello everybody. Welcome to both the nerdy and the gritty, both of those things. We are thrilled to be here with you today for our pre-show, just chatting here. So before we get into our pre-show, though, I am finally gonna start putting these on YouTube podcasts in their condensed, like, actual podcast form. So if you have Google Podcasts or YouTube Music, I think it is now. No such thing as Google, YouTube Music. Follow the Nerdy Gritty over there. It's
Yeah,
cool.
that sounds great.
I also finally made a Nerdy Gritty chat command. So
Oh, great.
yay, there we go. Maybe I should put the link in there to follow us. That might be a good idea. Okay,
Probably.
okay. Pre-chat question. Pre-chat question. I didn't think of one today. What video game food would you most like to eat?
Roast chocobo.
Ooh, do they do that? Is that something that they have?
I don't know.
It would be giant. You could do like a choco turducken by putting the
Yeah, you
yeah.
put so many animals in that thing.
Yeah. Just keep it going, man. Keep getting bigger and
Chocobo.
bigger.
Uh, ostrich. Crane. Pelican.
All the way to a pterodactyl. Just go all the way up there.
Oh, we're going up. I see.
I think some of the the Legend of Zelda, the like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild food looks
Some of that food
real
looks real
good.
tasty. I mean, it's all
Yeah.
just like actual food. Like, it's just him cooking like rice. You know.
But even when it's like just a roast fish with salts or like
Mhm.
a grilled fish
Oh.
with salt, like things like, oh dude, that looks so
Salt-grilled-
good.
Yeah, salt-grilled porgy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it does make it look very good. Yeah.
It's delicious. Let's see. Obviously the cake from Portal. I mean, it just looks good.
We don't actually know if it's real though. It might even be fake.
No, we do know it's real. Have you beat the first Portal game? It is absolutely real.
I just remember that it was a lie.
The cake was a lie.
That's
Was
that's the meme I remember.
right
I
at the
played first Portal like 20 years ago.
at the very like post credit scene. There's just a cake on a table with a single candle, and like a little robotic arm comes down and puts the candle out. The cake
Sure.
was not a lie.
I remember playing Portal 2 like way more than the first Portal.
No, it's co-op and it's wonderful.
Right, I played through it at least twice.
Yeah. Let's see. What other food is good? What other video game food is tasty? Or
That's it.
a fictional animal that you would want to eat?
I already said that. A chocobo.
A chocobo. It's still same answer.
The same answer. It's the same thing.
It's like Pokemon, right? Like that's the very common question. What Pokemon would you most want to eat?
According to Brian David Gilbert, Togepi is the most like edible Pokemon.
He is an egg. He's just an egg.
Just an egg.
Yeah. I mean, what about Execute?
Executed are actually seeds.
Really?
In the Pokedex, yes, you find out that they are seeds. That's why they turn into a tree.
Oh, I guess that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, but they look like eggs, obviously, so it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Also, most Pokemon probably, one of them sentient keys. So I don't know how much we need to look for logic here.
I wonder how many. Do you think there are any Pokemon that never made it into a cartoon that have only exclusively been in video games?
Oh, I would be shocked if there was. There's like 1,000 of them.
Yeah, there's also 1,000 different Pokemon
that's
TV
true.
shows
They're going on since the games came out. So
yes, it's a
they've
gajillion years
all
old.
been in the background somewhere.
So I wonder how many Pokemon have been in one episode of a Pokemon anime, like cartoon, and never
Least
seen again.
popular.
Just never seen again. Because I bet it's like 600, if not
It's
more.
a good number of
Yes,
them.
like
The rest of them are just about like Pikachu and Bulbasaur.
right, because they're not going to get rid of those ones, right? Those are the iconic guys.
Yeah.
So and Charizard, like you can't get rid of Charizard. Come on.
And like the original like Pikachu and like the original starters are still by far the most popular.
Because they're the best.
They're just the most recognizable. Everybody knows what they are. if you started with Pokemon, you know what they are, and at some point, a lot of people have fallen off, which means you don't know the later ones,
Right.
but you know the first ones, so they can't just ignore that. In fact, if they want people to keep buying merch, they gotta keep including all those popular ones.
So legitimately, I bet there's so many that never seen again. I wonder if you killed a fire type and tried to cook it, would it work?
Do you think all fire types are just spicy, or?
Well, I mean, like the Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard have fire on their tail. Like fire's not gonna hurt them.
The whole idea is that if that fire goes out, they die.
Right. They need fire. That fire is very important.
Well, maybe if they die though, they lose that, like, you know, their soul goes away. So yeah, now they're just meat.
What if you take a dead one and you go grill it?
Well, hold on, I will. Hold on, give me a second.
You go and you grill it, and it comes back to life because you have relit the tail.
And then its existence is torture.
It's zombie.
Because you probably cut it up already.
Right. It's just like the tail that you're roasting, and you put that over, and the rest of the meat on the side. All of a sudden, you're just here. Ah!
They do canonically eat Pokemon in the Pokemon world.
Right.
Slowpoke tail is like a delicacy in the originals, and then yeah. Obviously, a lot of them are just like birds, you know.
That's a really good point.
Just eat some birds.
What would Zapdos taste like?
Shockingly good.
Yeah, that's the easy one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the easy one. All right. Should we podcast?
I would prefer to do that, yes.
Okay, cool. Hey, everybody, we're going to start podcasting here in just a second. While we are podcasting, I had to spell that real quick, and I spelled it wrong. Let's try it again. Podcasting. Oh, that's because it's just podcast, not podcasting.
Okay.
There, I did it. Anyway, while we're podcasting, we are not going to be interacting with the chat because we re-syndicate this later as a podcast, just a regular old podcast. But that doesn't mean that you should go away or not be posting in the chat, because afterward, we go back to the chat and we read over what people have said, and we go back and we rediscuss it with the folks back in chat. So stick around, put whatever you're thinking in the chat. We'll get to it. But for now, we're going to go ahead and begin our podcast. Fox, are you ready to begin podcasting?
I think so.
All right. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead.
What are we talking about today? Oh, right. Today on the Nerdy Gritty, both the MCU and the DC film universe are kind of at a reset point. What should they do differently this time?
Okay, run that one more time because I was laughing over your first word. So
I'm very funny, so that's fine. Okay. Today on the Nerdy Gritty, both the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC film universe are at a bit of a reset point. What should they do differently this time?
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. Well, they make some man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. In the previous iterations, I was Dez. Now I'm just Steve.
Yeah, you're the rebooted Steve.
I'm the rebooted Dez. Just Steve.
The next Steve.
Yeah.
I'm Fox, but I'm like older and more wise. And I'm like the Fox Supreme, you know?
Ooh, Fox Supreme is good. I want that to be an actual character. Like an actual fox. And
I mean, they did introduce Star Fox at the end of Eternals, so.
Oh, that's right. You said Star Fox first.
Played by Harry Styles.
Yeah, you said Star Fox first, and I thought you were talking about the video game character.
No, I'm pretty sure the Eternal Star Fox came before.
Yeah, the other Star Fox.
Came before the
yes.
Star Fox. Yeah. Hey. Oh, right.
That's right. You have the intro.
I have the intro. Cool. Well, we've never done this before, so it's all right. We're still. Hey, guess what comes out this weekend?
This weekend.
It's really not a question. Furiosa.
No! How dare you?
Furiosa comes out this weekend, the follow-up to Mad Max Fury Road. a wonderful, wonderful, crazy movie. Excellent film. Love it. I'm very excited for the follow up here, and I think it's only appropriate that, in honor of Furiosa and Mad Max in general, that we should come up with our Wasteland Sona right now.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Who's our Wastelander character that we come up with? Some of the best parts of the Mad Max series. Like, obviously lots of cool action, whatever, all that jazz. Lots of good character development, but you have some really great Wasteland characters. You have a guy named Toe Cutter in one of the early ones, but all kinds of cool people. So we're gonna come up with our Wasteland Sona, and all I'm going to do for us, I've got a apocalypse / mutant nickname generator.
Okay, all right, I like it.
We're gonna come up with the name using this, and then we're gonna craft that character.
Oh, I'm all about this.
Just based on the name alone.
20 years of Dungeons and Dragons prepared me for exactly this.
Yeah, I've spent so much time on fantasynamegenerators.com. Okay, let's do this. Let's get some names. All right, I'm kind of gonna. It's just a list of like single names, so I'm gonna combine a few here.
All right.
I'm gonna go with Spectre Skins.
Spectre Skins. Is this for you or for me? Me, okay.
You are Spectre Skins.
I'm
Spectre Skins in the world of Mad Max or generic
post-apocalypse. Spectre Skins, actually, people like assume that it's a ghost thing, but it's actually short for Inspector Skins.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And I am like the Wasteland Doctor, and obviously, like my cures and remedies,
like the Doctor Who.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Okay.
No.
Inspector Time Space.
Yeah, exactly. The medic, but my cures are all ridiculous or whatnot. But like, I just take a lot of time looking at your skin. Like, you'll come in and be like, "Doctor, I broke my leg." I'm like, "Show me your skin." And like, no.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
You know.
What you need is more skin.
Yes, and like
here, and you just staple it onto them.
And like all of like my casts and things like that are made out of other skins. Like, okay, I just gotta wrap you up in this, and I pull out. It's like a sling, but it's clearly made out of like human. And you're like, that's somebody's elbow. It's the shape of another. And like that's all I have. So all of my
the idea of the post-apocalyptic like snake oil salesman doctor.
Yeah.
Has this is genuine
mutant leather.
Yeah, mutant leather.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh man. Okay, all right. I like an Inspector's. You know what? Why hasn't there been the whole like Spectre Inspector? That has to be a pun used somewhere. A ghost doctor or a ghost detective.
Hang on, I'm gonna look up the inspector, but I'm gonna spell Spectre like the ghost. The Inspector. Yes. I did not.
I don't know why I've never even made that connection. All right, let me get some other names. You look that up.
I am. So Inspector is obviously not obviously, but like this is the place you would find it. It's a manga.
Okay.
In/Spectre. So
okay, that makes sense.
That's a thing, and it's also an anime.
They don't trust the audience to get the joke without that slash, like separating the.
But that's
words.
it.
That's it.
That's it for. There's one manga / anime, and it has a slash in there. Fuck TM, the Inspector TM.
I mean, maybe they already have it.
It's R.I.P.
Take that. All right. I've got another name. Unless you want to come up with my name.
Well, I don't have this generator.
It's whatever. It's fine. Okay.
Okay. What's your name?
Here's my name. Blinky Longshot.
Ooh, Blinky Longshot is good. Also, what is Blinky Longshot?
Blinky Longshot. Again, it's going to be a little ironic. It's Longshot. I mean, that obviously sounds like, I got a big rifle and I shoot you from a long distance and then I come and take your stuff or whatever.
Right.
It's not. I just always go for the worst, like the least likely option in any situation. Always going for the long shot odds on anything.
Wesley Snipes is like always bet on black, and you're like, I always bet on green, but there is no green on here. Green it is.
And that's why I'll win the most.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I inevitably fail.
Right, of course, of course.
I'm the opposite of Domino.
But your big thing is at some point in the movie, like in a really clutch pivotal
It
point,
has to work.
it
Yes.
works. And
It
you're like,
works.
yeah, and you're like the hero for it, you know?
And then I just play it off like, and that's why they call me Long Shot.
That's
No, it's
right.
not.
Why Blinky?
I don't know. Just go, it's my actual name. That's my legal name.
Because my dad named me Blinky, jerk.
He loved Pac-Man.
Yeah. Specifically that one
The
ghost.
family, yeah, he was a real big fan of Blinky. Did not like any of the others.
All right, give me another one. Give me another one. I want another one. I want to make another character.
Okay.
I believe in you.
Okay. This one could be several things, but I'm gonna go with it. Dusty Moonshine.
Dusty Moonshine. That I'm because there's the obvious one, right? There's the really obvious that
You're the bar owner. You're
Yeah.
the tavern keeper.
absolutely right. So I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
I-
who wants to be that?
I don't want that. Dusty Moonshine is I have the only solar power in the entire wasteland, but I only reveal it at night so that other people don't see that it's happening. Like I'm going off of moonlight, like because it's just reflecting the sun. We know
It'll
that.
take way longer to charge.
And so I spend a lot of my time dusting off the panels, the solar
Alright.
panels,
Okay.
and so I am Dusty Moonshine because I am just seen a lot at night in the distance, dusting off things in the moonlight, and people don't know what I'm doing or why I'm out there or whatever.
All right, sure.
There it
Go
is.
with it. What a cool nickname.
Thanks. You got one more. What do you got, Fox?
I'm gonna go with let's see. Let me get another good one. It's actually just there's not a whole lot of options here. But I'm trying to keep- so I'm just waiting for them to oh, there we go. Let's go with Weeds Elsewhere.
Weeds elsewhere. That's
Yeah.
also just something that people do for no reason. Is they'll just go and pick weeds somewhere else. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
all right. What is
No,
weeds
I'm
elsewhere?
Never, I'm never where you expect me. I'm always elsewhere.
Oh, good, good, awesome.
Yeah, I'm the guy that or just shows up when you don't expect me.
Right.
You know, right in the nick of time, or not in the nick of time, or at the you could have you thought you needed me, but you could do it on your own.
When Blinky Longshot's plan is inevitably going wrong, then Weeds Elsewhere pops up to help fix the
It's
situation.
just me, and I put on another hat.
Oh no, this looks like a situation for Weeds Elsewhere.
Why would that guy do that stupid thing? I'll do the right thing. So
That's
I play
good.
the hero in my own foibles.
Yeah, I love that. That's good.
None
Hey.
of these were as cool as anything George Miller has ever come up with.
No.
George Miller's the master at just ridiculous, like, just cool characters and also names that you're not sure. I'm sure they have a meaning to him, but they're not readily apparent. One of the like wives of Immortan Joe in what's it called?
Fury Road.
Fury Road is named Cheeto with a D and not a T. I'm not sure why, but it's great. Or like the guitar bard guy with the flaming guitar. That's the Doof Warrior. I'm not
The
sure what that
Doof
means,
Warrior.
but he's
Oh,
the Doof
so
Warrior.
good. Man.
Oh man, I'm so excited for all that crazy ridiculousness, and also Chris Hemsworth with a big nose.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he's gonna be the best part of that movie. I think he's gonna give get a lot of space to just go crazy.
He has
He's
done
a funny guy. So.
a good job in ridiculous things.
Sure.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, the previews for me have me like cautiously cautious. I'm not even gonna say cautiously optimistic. I'm not gonna say negative either. I'm just like, all right.
I would say
show me
Chris
what you
Hemsworth.
got.
Yeah. I would say Chris Hemsworth has been good at really good at portraying well scripted, funny characters.
I mean,
I think there was too much improv allowed in Love and Thunder, and it just kind of didn't work.
yes,
But he's got a really good sense of humor, and so when it's like I think he was the best part of Ghostbusters.
I was gonna say literally was gonna say
He had some
exactly
funny
that.
jokes in that
He was
one.
the best part of the new Ghostbusters movie. He was hilarious.
Yeah,
Like
he had some-
my cat.
my
Your
cat.
dog's name is
Dumbest
Mike
joke.
Hat.
No, it's my dog.
Yeah.
His name is Mike Hat. What? This is a dumb joke for a Ghostbusters movie. It makes no sense that it's in here. It is a funny joke.
It's delivered so he does a great job because he just seems so serious and like, yeah. Hey, okay.
Anyway,
Let's stop fawning over Chris Hemsworth
I
comedy.
do that enough on my own time.
Yeah.
Get some news. What you got? What's in the news right now?
So, how many podcasts do you listen to, Fox?
On a regular basis, 3 different podcasts, like multiple episodes. One of them's 3
Right.
episodes a week, but
Oh wow,
three titles. Yeah, it's a news political one. So
nice,
there's a lot
nice.
to talk about. Anyway,
So then, what would you say is missing from your podcast life? Wrong. It's Peppa Pig.
Oh, does Peppa have a podcast?
I'm reading.
Podcast?
I'm reading an article here. The title: Peppa Pig Audible podcast unveils launch date and name.
Okay.
And get this, it's called the Peppa Pig podcast.
Well, that makes sense. The Triple P.
It is. So when I saw this headline, it was the most wild pull, right? Like, what is Peppa Pig doing that
Yeah, what's
it
this?
needs a podcast? Now, Audible is partnering with, do you know who owns Peppa Pig?
It's a British show, right? Is it the BBC?
Hasbro.
Oh,
So,
can't wait
when
to
I-
get that crossover with the Transformers.
Oh, what about the inevitable Magic the Gathering secret Peppa Pig secret lair?
Oh my goodness. We're gonna get people who watched Peppa Pig as a kid, so they're nostalgic for it. So it's going to be, somebody will like it. Same with the ponies, whatever it's called, the galloping. Anyway, go ahead.
So when I first saw, I was like, "What? This is ridiculous." But I will say it's an interesting concept. They're breaking it down into 15-minute episodes that are meant to be interactive. So like Peppa Pig's going to be talking, then pausing.
No, please call me Peppa. Peppa Pig is my father.
She'll be like pausing, and then like the kids are meant to respond, and it's a bunch of interactive things like waiting in the car or not getting angry. Think like Daniel Tiger,
Interesting. Okay,
but
just brief little life lessons.
yeah, type of things. But it's meant to be
But
interactive,
purely audible.
right? So Peppa Pig will be like, "What sort of things make you, what? She's Peppa Pig.
Yeah.
What sort of things make you angry?"
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I sound just like her. And then she'll just pause, and then the kid will sit and be like, "Oh, that's fascinating. You should
Interesting.
probably calm down, you wanker." And then like, "Wow, Peppa."
There's a lot more cursing. Yeah. It's much more casual. You ever think people, like, when they really want to offend Peppa Pig, they use the hard R on her name?
Oh no. I will not be riffing on that joke. I'm gonna let that one sit.
Oh, it's a perfect joke. You're right.
I'm just kidding. Yep. It's exactly fine as it is. We'll just let that go away.
Oh man. Well, hey, we are going to be talking about like the MCU and DC movies and stuff. So let's get into some recently announced news about the only Marvel movie that's coming out this year, which is Wolverine and Deadpool.
That's crazy to me that it's the only one.
It's the only, no, I mean, we're going to talk about this, but to me
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's just so different than what they've been doing. Anyway, this movie doesn't come out for about another 2 months. I'm looking at an article from today. This article it drops. The movie comes out July 26th, which means, let's see, day one of ticket sales for Deadpool Wolverine, Deadpool and Wolverine. What do you think? Pre-sales 2 months before the movie, day one.
Oh, so they're already selling tickets and
Already selling tickets for a movie 2 months out. Pre-sale numbers are roughly come in. It's a rough number, obviously.
bare minimum $30. Absolutely no
no.
less than.
So one person is gonna see it. About
10 million.
About $8.5 million.
$8.5 million. That is insane.
Roughly, it's $8 to $9 million in the first day of pre-sales for a movie.
That's
coming out
one day of pre-sales?
Day one of pre-sales, the first day.
Oh my gosh. Okay. When like a Star Wars movie comes out, people dress up as Jedi and they go. When a Marvel movie comes out, they dress up as the Avengers and they go. How insufferable are going to be the cosplayers going to these movies? Like, how obnoxious is the opening night going to be?
Look, it's a known fact. Deadpool cosplayers are the worst part of any con you've ever been to. Because they can do whatever they want and claim it's just in character.
Right,
It's
and
a
that
real
the
problem.
that
It's almost internet and anonymity is the word I'm looking for. Internet anonymity in real life.
It's yeah. It's
So it's going to be interesting. But hey, Hugh Jackman's in it, so
that's pretty cool. I like that. I saw
he literally did say at one point after, like during, it was either before or after, like when Logan was doing his marketing or whatever, saying the only way I'd come back as Wolverine is in a Deadpool movie. Like he
Really?
literally said that.
Oh, I
Yes.
thought he just said it's done, it's over, I'm not doing it
No,
again.
that like, and it was maybe mostly because he's like friends with Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so Kevin Feige saw that and was like, cool, good to know. We'll have him in our next Deadpool movie.
Yeah, done.
Guaranteed. No problem. I'll give him any amount of money he wants. Personally. So yeah, $8 to $9 million for the next Deadpool, the Deadpool and Wolverine. That's a lot of money.
Does that count? So when you say like box office weekend sales, does that count?
I don't know the ins and outs. I think the whole movie finances thing is intentionally vague, but I would imagine no.
Because I would have guessed yes.
Let's see. Some 200,000 movie fans have already bought their AMC tickets already. This is more day one ticket sales at AMC for any other R-rated movie ever.
Oh, so there are PG-13 movies that have beaten this. I'm guessing Star Wars.
I wouldn't be surprised if Star Wars made more than that.
Yeah.
But this is an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Let's see. Insiders tell the Hollywood Reporter first day sales are likely around. Oh, this is first day sales. Oh, based on an extrapolation of the 200,000 from AMC. So based on relative sales to that.
Because I'm going to guess that if for whatever reason the movie theater explodes or the movie,
like literally
literally, or like if the movie dissolves because of the snap or whatever, and people don't get to go, like they choose not to, it's impossible to, they will get refunded their money.
I would imagine.
So with that being said, that means that the money doesn't actually come into its full fruition of earnings until the opening weekend.
That's probably true.
So I think that it'll count toward opening weekend sales, which is
sure. No, well, yeah. I mean, I guess they are sales of tickets for the opening weekend.
Yeah,
I would imagine. I'd be surprised if somebody 2 months in advance wants to buy a ticket for the Wednesday after it comes out. You know what? I think I'm gonna go at the matinee on Tuesday.
Yeah,
I need to be there.
But I better pick it up right now.
I guarantee I'll be there 2 months out.
All right. Hey, should we podcast?
We should do that.
Right now. No, wait. We're already podcasting.
We're already podcasting. Do the real part of it.
Should we get down to the nerdy gritty? That's what I was going to say.
The podcast.
Okay, let's get down.
The real meat of the chocobo.
The real meat of the chocoduck and chocoturducken.
Chocoduck. Oh, we're going to come up with that.
So, in the two widely... There goes my mouse. Widely popular comic book cinematic universes, the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the... Is it still the DCEU? Is it still the DC Extended Universe? Or are they...
Is just now the DCU.
DCU. So in the DC universe, the Detective Cinematic Universe...
Let's see. Hold on. the DC universe, upcoming media franchise and shared universe. The franchise is a soft reboot of the DC extended universe. So yeah, it's just called the DCU.
So the DCU is rebooting. Like they are rebooting
It's supposed to be a hard reset.
Yeah, new Superman, new characters. Who knows if R-Pat is going to be the Batman in this one? That's why it's
that one was separate though.
Is it fully?
Maybe they'll
That's why I think they're calling it a soft reboot in this. They're giving it the chance to like pull in some other things.
Yeah, I mean they'll never say nothing is on like something is off the table completely.
Right. So DC is rebooting though. New actors, new person heading it all up. James Gunn, James Gum, as I just said. James Gum. That's his name.
Okay.
It's gum that belongs to Jane. James Gunn is now heading up the DCU. And then on the flip side of things, Marvel is not rebooting, but they are like massively restructuring their release schedule. Hitting the brakes very heavily and kind of restructuring their release schedule because of Marvel fatigue. It's literally called Marvel fatigue. Yeah. And there's just been so much to watch that people have been caring less altogether. So we're going to be talking today just about what we think they can do to help make things better, ways that they can help keep their IP popular and enjoyable while also not recreating another fatigue or another DCEU situation.
Sure.
So how do you want to do? You want to go one at a time, you think?
Yeah, let's start with DC because it's the big reset.
Right. DC is the big reset here. Okay. I can already when I think of this, there's already I only want to start with what they should not do.
Okay.
Don't try to make anything that Marvel is doing. Don't do that.
What you're saying, that is going to be hard because you're both doing the same thing.
But
superhero movie universe.
Like when they made Justice League, they made it and then they said, "Oh, it needs to be more like the Avengers. Let's get Joss Whedon in here and
get some humor in here."
Yeah, and make it quippy and fun and cool or whatever. And then there's so much of what DC has done that they have looked at Marvel and said, "Okay, how can we do that?" Don't. Stop and say, how can we honor our characters and make it enjoyable to watch?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I will say, Joss Whedon is a better director than it made sense to me that they wanted to bring him in to do something for the movie itself. But
are you kidding me? The Snyder Cut was incredible. How dare you?
It was so bad.
4 hours of black and white nonsense.
Okay, let's. The problem there was that they should have made a decision and stuck with it from the start.
Yeah.
Because a big problem was that it vacillated between two different tones pretty consistently. And that was a real problem with the movie. But yes, I do understand what you're saying is don't say, "Oh, that movie's popular. We have to make our movies like that now." I understand there are trends in movies. This is kind of a thing, but that is pretty obvious. Like when you're already doing something so similar, when you're already doing the shared universe, superhero thing, people are inherently going to be comparing. Like it's just something you can't really avoid. People are going to be comparing how you're doing things. And so the more similar you make the thing that you're making after something else came out, the more obvious that becomes. And it just becomes almost a downside inherently because even if it's good, it feels like a ripoff.
Right. Well, this is why
if it's fine.
This is why I think Batman has been so successful consistently, because Marvel doesn't have anything like it. And so they're able to make something and make it good, but stay true to their character. Same thing with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, the first one, was an outstanding film, and it was the first of its kind as well. And to be able to say, we're going to make this movie true to our character and enjoyable to our character, instead of trying to say, how do we make this sort of like the Marvel trends or what's going on here. That they have, DC, in my opinion, has more compelling characters than Marvel does. I love the big overarching stories that Marvel tells. I love the great, big teams that they have. They have all these great teams and whatnot. But as far as like individual characters, I find DC characters more interesting than Marvel characters. And with the exception of like Spider-Man, who has been carrying
Just
his
the
own.
best.
Yeah,
Just
well,
inherently
he's been
like
carrying his
the
own
best
comic
superhero
for
of all time.
decades upon decades. But take those stories and tell them. Just tell those stories and tell them well. And again, something else we were talking about recently is a recent trend. I'm going to say new trend. Too recent, recent enough to make it weird that it's this recent, of actually staying true to the source material. You know, like being, I would say probably Lord of the Rings being one of the earliest ones that was just like, you know what, we're going to stay true to the source material instead of taking it and trying to zhuzh it up for film, as was like the 70s, 80s, 90s, trying to change whatever IP to make it movie ready or whatever else.
Sure.
Just let your IP speak for itself. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. No, I mean, anything can be good. We've said that a lot. Where if you have
But
an
but
interesting
it
idea,
is good.
it is a good comic book a lot of times.
That's what I mean.
And
Yeah.
sometimes things need to be shifted in order to turn it into a good movie.
Yes.
You know, sometimes you have to make, like, video game or comic books generally stray away from permanent decisions. And that is fine for a, you know, something that's supposed to be a monthly. You read it, you want to, you're trying to get people to come back, but you also want people to like be able to expect what they're seeing. But if you're making movies about characters that come out every couple of years, you want things to be long lasting and matter. If you're asking people to keep track of all these movies and stuff, you want people to like see something happen and expect that to actually matter here going on, rather than like retconning and rebooting and all these kinds of things like comic books do constantly. So I do think there are some things you need to do when you're translating into a movie, including a movie universe that might be seen as different from comic books, but will make the movies better because you're asking people to do a certain thing and then, you know, following through with it.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I more mean stay true to your characters though. Like, you have good characters. You don't need to make Aquaman a quippy surfer dude. Like, he can be Aquaman, and that's fine. And just there's a lot going on with the movies in which, you know, that they felt like they forced a lot into the DC movies, which they did, right? They wanted to take a decade of Marvel work and put it into like 2 years of DC work.
Yes.
And so they crammed a lot in there. But again, to put a point on my very first thought for DC is you have good IP.
Yeah, it's already there.
Just honor it. Like, just do that.
Stick to your guns. You know what you're doing. I think James Gunn will be fine with that. James Gunn is a good character writer and seems to really know the, you know, Suicide Squad was excellent and all the characters are really great. And he's good at writing characters and writing stories that hit you in an emotional way, even if they are funny or goofy or ridiculous.
And I think that the only James Gunn superhero movie that I have seen that I thought was not the best, it wasn't even, I'm not even gonna say it was bad, it was just not the best, was Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And that one,
the weakest of the
yeah,
three, probably.
it's definitely the weakest, but those 3 movies, particularly the first and the third was so good. And then the Suicide Squad, like, he's got his chops, like he knows what he's doing and he does it well.
He's always been a very good character writer, and his movies have always been real ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, no, I think he's actually a very good person to lead up the whole thing, because he knows how to write a good script and also knows what matters when it comes to writing a character and getting people to care about them.
Yeah.
And it leads to Rocket Raccoon and Groot, a sapient raccoon and a living tree man being some of the most emotionally resonant characters in the Marvel universe, like, because it doesn't matter what they look like. He has an affection for lovable weirdos, and so he always puts them in everything, and it just works really well. And DC has a lot of weirdos in it, and you know, I think he'll make Swamp Thing pretty well.
Heck yes.
Yeah, like, I think he's good at that.
He'll be perfect for Swamp Thing.
Yeah,
okay, what else can DC do, Vox?
For the DC universe, I want them to do better this time at planning. Start, you know, I'm not saying anything. They probably have at this point. It was pretty obvious that they didn't really start with a huge plan in mind from the beginning. I know James Gunn had an idea, but then his movies were bad, and they like tried to pivot. And anyway, but yeah, just hey, you can write a whole long story from the start and get there, and maybe make tweaks and changes here and there, but that's going to help everything be more cohesive. We see actually kind of the opposite here with Marvel, is that they were over planning almost.
Yeah.
That's even the generous term, is that after Thanos, they just said, let's go with everybody.
Yeah.
We'll try to make it all work together, instead of like going one at a time with the DC universe, where it was, I don't know, it didn't really seem like the things they wanted to work. They said, "Oh, let's start with Justice League, and then also we'll then do Wonder Woman and all these other characters," and it just felt like they had to then kind of make it work.
Yeah.
Even though, rather than just letting the story progress in a way that made more sense.
Well, and on that note, I would say minimalize is a really important one, where don't try to immediately say, okay, we're going to let you get to know 37 characters. Right. Pick 5. Go with 5 characters. Let them be really weird, like offshoot characters. Swamp Thing, again, is a great example. I would love it to be, because when Iron Man first dropped back in 2008, I think it was. Yeah.
2008.
In 2008, Iron Man was not an overly popular comic
like
character.
A B tier at most.
Yeah, he was just he was Iron Man, I guess. And yeah, B tier at most is a great way to put that. Same with like Hawkeye. Like there was a ton of characters that they had chose that were B tiers, because they had already tried to do the A tiers many, many times over and succeeded sometimes, failed sometimes. Take some B tiers, man. Give me a Booster Gold movie. Give me a Booster Gold movie about a guy from the future who just wants to be famous.
Booster Gold is in the works, though, a TV show, by the way.
I think that is an incredibly compelling movie/TV character of somebody who, in his core, is selfish, wants to just be famous. He's again, so the short story, Booster Gold, famous football star from like the year 4000 or whatever, got severely injured and is now a janitor at a museum because he couldn't do anything else with his life. He finds a suit that has its own superpowers, like it's the superpowered suit, and a time machine. And he steals the suit and the time machine, goes back into the past, and his whole thing is this time machine from the Museum of the Future has all of history encoded in it, so I can now know, okay, where's the next big supervillain event? Tell me. Over there? Cool. I'm going to go over there and save the day and then get all kinds of sponsors and whatnot. And so he literally has like sponsorships on his suit at some
Back
point.
to the future, but a superhero. I'm going to bring the sports almanac back to the future.
Yeah, it really, really is. And so anyway, I'll just say that somebody like that can be highly comedic, really, really like balancing that lovable and hateable at the same time, but also leaves a ton of room to grow into watching this character grow into actually caring and being selfless and whatnot. Like, anyway, that's just me saying I love the idea of a Booster Gold movie. So, but start small, bring in some B tier characters.
Yes, that is a great idea. That's a very smart thing to do. I was going to say the same thing about do you remember what was it, at the end of Captain America, maybe, or Iron Man, one of them, where the post-credit scene is you see the handle of Thor's hammer. Or whatever, and you're like,
that was God of War.
Yeah, exactly. God of War is part of the. No, you're like, whoa! It's like this big moment, whoa, they're actually connecting them, or we have Nick Fury showing up in multiple movies. That's really fun. And now it's just the expectation is everything crosses over. What other, if there's nobody else there, it's weird, that kind of thing. I'd start small. It's still fun to do. I think Marvel should have done this after the whole Infinity Saga, was just shrink it back down. Get a few street level people, that you love.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel, get so and so, whatever other people. I don't know who would be, and then just let it build up again, and then start introducing characters that you already know, and you're like, hey, Falcon's back or whatever. I think they just kind of said, well, we can do anything now, so let's do everything. But that is a good idea, is just start small, start real simple, and then reward people with connections when they happen. You know, that is a big thing that I'm really hoping is, I think, for both going forward. Obviously, if you're trying to tell an overarching story, you need those things to happen on a regular basis to move that story forward. As good as it was, the whole Thanos thing was pretty much like concentrated in a couple of movies. Thanos really he showed up briefly at the end of Avengers. His whole story kind of like a lot of like you didn't know about him from a lot of the side movies. It was mainly just the Avengers movies, which worked fine. But I think what I want to say is you should reward people for recognizing connections and see the little references to each other, but not punish people for not seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard line to walk. I mean,
Right.
To find that like balance between, if I haven't seen these 12 other movies, am I actually going to enjoy watching this?
Right.
But also, if I have seen all those 12 others, it would make it a more enjoyable experience to feel like that was a worthy, like that it's part of the story that I'm seeing overall here. But you got to do both. I mean, even from a marketing perspective, if somebody feels the need to watch 15 movies before they see 16, they're not going to see 16 if they haven't seen those 15. Like,
Right.
so if you want people to buy tickets, you got to walk that line somehow.
Well, and again, you saying that there still has to be some reward for the fans who do that, though, is also very, very true. Like finding some way to even put like just little Easter eggs in there, whatever it is to. So if you see in the background that there's a chess piece, and you think, oh, Checkmate's coming. Oh, Checkmate's going to be a part of this. It's a DC's version of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
But,
something.
I can get that as a fan. I saw that in the background and I called it. But if you don't know about Checkmate or you didn't see that or whatever else, and then they reveal the Checkmate movie, you're not going to feel dumb or like you missed it or like you're out of the loop.
You're like, how I missed out on something.
Yeah. So finding ways to balance that out. Reward the fans without alienating the newbies.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff like that in early Marvel. Is like, there's a deleted scene, so I don't know if we can count it or not, but in the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk, where he's walking through like an icy wasteland or whatever, it's just like a brief montage or something.
Yeah.
You see, if you look in a spot in the ice, you see Captain America's shield. You're like, oh, that's fun. Like, it doesn't matter if you didn't see it.
Right.
But, once you see that he's taken out of the ice, you're like, oh, he was there. Like, what a coincidence. That's fun. Like, just small things like that are nice to see, and it rewards paying attention. And financially, probably would make more sense. People are going to want to see your movie more than once to catch all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay, my final thought for DC before I'm ready to move on to Marvel. Please get rid of the filters. Just let your characters be characters. It doesn't have to be gritty. It doesn't have to be moody. It doesn't have to be anything other than what it is. If you make a Batman movie, it can be gritty and moody.
Yes.
It can absolutely be gritty and moody. If you make a Booster Gold movie, it doesn't need to be gritty or moody. It should be stupid and fun and goofy and almost sitcom-esque.
Like a comedy of errors.
Yeah, absolutely. If you make a Swamp Thing movie, make it horror-like. Like, make it weird.
It a nature documentary.
Oh, there you go. With Sigourney Weaver speaking over it.
Yeah. Morgan Freeman as the voiceover.
And we see here the horrific creature sprouting from the swamp.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. Like, do not try to. If everything that was a problem with James Gunn, or not James Gunn, but
Zack Snyder's
movies, is that they all just became the same thing. That his sensibilities were overlaid everything else, and it just became samey and didn't give different things a different feeling to them.
Yeah.
And B, every character felt like the other characters. They're all kind of dour and sad, and even like the Flash felt a little sad, even though he was supposed to be the quippy one, and they tried to, like, all of it just kind of became muddled.
Yeah.
In kind of a soup of darkness.
Well, and overall, it just, like, I know that we're in a new era with better writing and whatnot, but
Maybe.
oh, I mean, I'm saying from like, way in the
From,
past,
okay, from the DCEU, sure.
for just basically saying that people still want there to be heroes that do good and save the day. It doesn't have to be that Superman ends up snapping Jor-El's neck and it's this big like neutral moment of he had
Not
to
Jor-El.
do bad to, or not Jor. Oh no, sorry,
What a
Zod.
twist.
Zod's neck, and or whatever else that it's going to be this equal part. Oh, it's dark, and our heroes are broken, and our heroes that can be good writing. I like this idea, but at the same time, people do still want heroes that do good for the sake of doing good and saving the day.
The best example of this is the first Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
that it get pretty dark, the situation at least. It's World War One. There's evil people poison, all these things are happening, and her like almost naivete of I fight for the good, I'm here to help people, is what makes her so heroic in that movie. She's not succumbing to like, well, I gotta, obviously she still fights somebody, but it just has this like hopeful tone to it, and it feels weird that Superman doesn't have that.
Yes.
I appreciate the idea of a realistic Superman story. That makes sense to me. It would logically make sense that the world would be afraid of Superman, because they don't know who he is. Once they find out there's this like invincible, immortal person among them who can destroy anything, that's a scary thing.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to me but the tone of the movie gave into that. And that I think was the problem. It wasn't that it was just the villains or there was no reason to then say, no, this is why the people who think he's an evil villain are wrong, because at the end of the movie it's him destroying a satellite and saying you'll never keep me down.
Yeah.
That kind of like he just keeps being a weirdo, crazy villain kind of in some people's eyes. I really hope that the Superman movie is very corny. I would love a return to
Christopher Reeve,
just like do 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 do, and like the most like heroic theme of all time, like of just this truth, justice, and why they've changed the phrase from truth, justice in the American way to whatever it is, but just those are his ideals. That's what he's fighting for. I think that would be really cool.
I agree. Yeah. Okay, Marvel.
Yes.
Marvel is in a different place, in where they are suffering from their own success in a way. They're failing from their success, and where they had done really well. Obviously, the Infinity Saga was a new form of filmmaking that had never been seen before. That is gonna go down in history, right? Like that's just.
I think I do think that what's Endgame? Avengers Endgame will be one of the last like great theater cinematic moments.
Yes. Oh man, so good. So we know this. After that, things kind of went off the rails.
Yes.
And Phase 4 was experimental with little success and mostly struggles. A lot of their TV was mostly struggles. And now they're struggling to find their way back onto the platform that they have held for so long. Part of this strategy is pulling back a lot. So you were saying Deadpool and Wolverine is the only Marvel movie to be released this year. Are there any TV shows, Marvel TV shows releasing this year?
Let's see. Oh, I think I have a list already here. I think the only TV show is the Agatha spin-off from which I don't know how many people are pumped about an Agatha show.
If it had been a little more timely, I think they'd be more pumped. Agatha was very popular.
It's been 5 years now or whatever.
Yeah. But so what can they do going forward now, Fox, to help rebuild themselves, to help get back to a point at where they were? What can Marvel do?
The big word is restraint. Hey, people love, a lot of times the value of something is in its scarcity. economically for sure, and even in like, hey, I really love insert character here, and it's more special when they show up when it's more less often. If somebody just, it's if every other movie. I'm not saying they were going to do this, but the more often you see a character, or even have a Marvel movie, even to get meta about it, the less special I think it becomes, the less of an event it becomes. It just becomes, okay, now they're at this point in their schedule for the year. I really think it would make more sense for, hey, let's do less and and focus on the value of each individual movie or show,
Yeah.
rather than, we have a billion characters, let's bring them all to the screen. Wouldn't it be cool if insert somebody here that nobody's ever heard of was there? It could be, but also you could do less and it be a more like enjoyable experience.
I think I'm having trouble
Yes,
talking
you
today. I don't know why. I think a huge shift in narrative focus
Mm.
would be good for them, i.e., step away, not entirely, but in a huge way from the Marvel and lean into the Fox. X-Men. Now it's the Mutant Saga. And now we
Well,
have,
the X-Men are not Fox anymore, but yeah.
well,
understand
Fox
what you
isn't Fox anymore, but this to take everything off of the expectations of what was going on over there, and you can start from scratch over here. Like, you can literally start entirely from square one and just say, now we're talking about mutants. And here is your Storm movie. Here is your, Cyclops and Jean Grey movie, or whatever, whatever you want to do. Rebuilding characters from square one and then bringing them together in whatever way you want to, in a similar way to Marvel, to the rest of the Marvel universe. But because you're doing it with this entire other side of things, you're able to divorce expectations from it in a huge way. When you have,
I see what you mean.
when you have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange has all the expectations of the Infinity Saga. Even when you have Shang-Chi, you still have the expectations of the Infinity Saga because there are things that are tying into what was before. Spider-Man has all the expectations of the Infinity Saga. The Marvels, because they're all tied to Captain Marvel, there's all the expectations of the Infinity Saga. Like, all of these characters have these ties in there. The X-Men give you the ability to just start from scratch. Have references, maybe even have some guest appearances.
The problem is, after the Marvels, now the X-Men are tied to the Marvels.
Yes, but I think you can still, divorce it and have your own full thing. That they've leaned into the idea that the Marvels or that the X-Men are in a different universe.
Separate universe, yeah.
Yeah.
They're in the Foxverse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Also, the good thing is they have one good, like, already, like, lean into it. More Frasier.
Yes. Abs, you
More
got it.
Kelsey Grammer.
As much Frasier as you can get in there.
Frasier a superhero. And I'm saying the character Frasier from the show.
I wonder what it's like for Kelsey Grammer to have done as many roles as he has. Let's be clear. He's a prolific actor. He's done all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he's done some stuff aside.
But pretty much his entire acting career, anything he has done has been an aside to him being Frasier.
Cheers and Frasier both had 11 seasons.
Right. And now there's a new
Now there's
Frasier.
the Frasier reboot. Like,
Yes.
he has been Frasier for most of his life.
It's
like, he
wild.
brought this on himself.
Anyway.
No, I understand what you're saying. Just, there was a problem with too many storylines starting, and none of them continuing or ending with what they did after. I once looked at a list. It's just like every movie comes up with 3 characters that now aren't just side characters, but have like cliffhangers, to deal with now. And if you don't, it could be narratively unsatisfying. I think it would make sense a little bit to say, sorry, yeah, some of those are not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think they've already
Just
said
say
that.
it.
They've already decided that. Kit Harington from the Eternals as Black Knight never gonna happen. Don't worry about it. Leave it alone. I think some should come back. Shang-Chi, I'm surprised.
Absolutely. Simu Liu is fantastic in
Look at
that
the
role.
popularity of whatever it is. That shouldn't be the only factor here because, if you
Well,
stick to your own narrative.
yeah, and look how
like,
it's going to fit into the overall narrative. Like a show that I enjoyed, but if they told me nothing's ever going to come from it, I'd be like, that's probably for the better. Is She-Hulk. She-Hulk was a
Yeah.
great show. It was fun.
It was a fun little one-off.
Yeah, and they left some things hanging, and they tied her into Daredevil. But if they then said She-Hulk's done, we're never going to do that again, then you don't have to deal with the fact that she literally climbed out of a television and fought a robot Kevin Feige.
Yeah, it was great. There is something to be said for, hey, we are connecting a lot of stuff together. Sometimes it's not going to continue. It's not going to, their story is done. And yeah, there could be another one, but no, we're not going to. It's fine. Or just make She-Hulk a real fun, like every once in a while, a new episode of She-Hulk comes out and it's like forces like these big, super ridiculous storylines into the real world where it's like, talking to a character about their legal troubles, just bring it in there, and it doesn't actually matter, it's just a funny joke that they're,
It'd
doing
be
a
like
15-minute episode about.
I could see She-Hulk being the real quick episode that is the Thor commercials where he moved in with a guy. Did you ever watch those? The ones that gave birth to Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Like things like that where these She-Hulk episodes are her meeting and interacting with other superheroes or whatever in their entirely mundane day-to-day lives.
Yeah, just not. Yeah, like somebody needs legal representation because in a big superhero fight they like threw somebody's car.
Right.
And now, like Wolverine broke somebody's window at one point and they're suing him. He needs somebody to represent him in court.
Yep.
It'd be a funny joke. It'd just be a 10-minute thing. Like, just make it an extended, like, mid-credit scene, basically.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. It's just a funny joke, but, it's a little meatier.
But,
like,
okay, that's a little aside here for me.
It's to the greater point of not everything has to continue.
Yes.
And if you don't have a plan for it continuing right now, then just tie things up.
Yeah.
Tie things up.
Or even, hey, don't, and it'll be okay.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah,
like if the Eternals never ever come back, that'd be a little bit sad, but it's gonna be okay.
In that instance, I think it's a bad example because the thing they instigated in that was literal judges of the universe showing up and saying we're gonna come and kill your whole planet and destroy you if you don't pass. Like that's a pretty big thing to just leave hanging.
But they did. But they did, Fox. They have never mentioned it again.
Which is a weird choice, but I think a better example of this is like, in Shang-Chi, his sister takes over the like mercenary training, whatever, the school of whatever. And it's like implied that she's got plans or whatever. Okay. It doesn't have to continue. She just goes off and does something.
Right.
Whatever. That's just like her next character step.
You can mention the 10 Rings in another movie or whatever else.
Sure. Yeah, make it a brief thing.
A random assassin shows up and says they're from the 10 Rings, sure.
Yeah. They just have a logo on their shirt.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And that's fine.
There's a scale of what should be followed up and what shouldn't be. And if you don't have literal plans like this movie right now that we're in production with is going to follow it up, then just tie it up. Just tie it up or, leave it less grand. Don't make it a big guide the size of a planet.
We've talked about this so many times before, but every time we come back to it, I'm equally shocked all over again that something attempted to hatch out of the middle of the earth and then a massive being came and told the planet Earth that it was going to judge them and nobody ever mentioned it again ever.
I think there was a brief reference to the fact that there's a big hand or whatever
in the newspaper of She-Hulk.
Yes.
That's
That's what it is.
That's it. Nobody is the Avengers are not preparing for this thing's return. Nobody is like discussing what was that thing. There's not even tinfoil hats saying the government did it. Like it's
The
all
Eternals, none of the Eternals have shown up to Nick Fury's office.
It's
and been
nothing.
Like, hey guys, we messed up. By the way, this happened.
I can't with the Eternals, man. It
It's
is
such,
ugh.
I am the champion of that movie. I think in the world I'm the one, but it was a weird choice
Well,
to do that.
The movie was, I mean, to me, the movie was fine. It was okay. It was a decent enough movie, but the swing that it took was so big.
Too much.
Yes.
It was too big for not having a plan to continue it.
Right.
That's the pivot point. Is if you have no plan, rein it in.
And then everyone's like,
Rein it
Kang,
in.
but Kang, Kang. And nobody's like, okay, Kang, sure, but also.
You know what? It would have been actually pretty great if Kang did show up. Like it's like I am now here, and here is my army of, and one of the, I forget what they're called, the Eternal villain guys, big judges or whatever, just shows up and says no, and then just like kills them all or something. Like, that would be great. Yeah. So ultimately, rein it in.
Yes.
Start small.
Yes.
The start small is good on both sides.
Yes,
Both
absolutely.
Start small and have a plan for what you're doing, and don't introduce too much, because the more you build up all these things that are supposed to be important and then none of them become important, it's actually really it's just that what we said before, where you should reward people for buying into it, then you're not. You're leaving them hanging.
Yep.
And you're just, oh, okay, it's just a bunch of false starts, really. I was introduced to this character and then, okay, bye.
Oh, also stop introducing characters. Introduce a handful and be good with that for a little while.
To me, that's a weird one. Also, like that wouldn't that just extend the life cycle of your entire deal? Is the longer it takes for all your characters to get out there, the more movies you can make.
Right. I mean, it really is the actual comic book issue of it's hard to follow 40 monthlies and get the entire story of a whole universe, So, yeah.
Right.
All right. Any final thoughts on how Marvel and DC should be doing this?
I mean, I could talk about this all day, but at the end of the day,
I could do this all day. Sorry.
Yeah, make that a movie.
Yeah.
Make that an actual like film it exactly as a stage production would,
Just like the Hamilton one on Disney
a movie
Plus.
version of a stage production. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make it a full thing. People would love that. That is my last thing. It's not just a final thought. It's my other thing is I've said this before, but be willing to make weirder movies or just less superhero-y movies. Make Swamp Thing a nature documentary. I think that would be real fun, and you could still tell a cool story through it. When the X-Men start happening, make a movie, like a music biopic about Dazzler.
That would be cool.
Yeah, just like you still tell a story through it, but
Yeah.
it just like introduces a new. I will save till with my dying breath. Guardians 3 should have been a musical. Like, lean into what your movies are and what they could be, and the more variety you have, the more interesting everything will be. The downside might be that it's, if you're trying to interweave everything and your Dazzler movie is a musical biopic and all these things, and then you get to Avengers and it's just a big fight movie, like it might feel weird that these characters from these other things, but I think it would be much cooler. Make an actual horror movie. Like, not just, it's got a spooky zombie in it, or like brief moments of, that was kind of creepy. Make an actual horror movie with you've got so many vampires in the Marvel universe. Make an actual horrific vampire movie with Blade in it.
Remember when that's what the New Mutants was going to be? They had it like advertised originally as a legit horror movie, and then they just made it another teen superhero movie.
I think the problem with that was Marvel gained the rights to that movie.
Oh, was that Marvel?
Done? No, that was a Fox movie.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, it's got mutants in it.
Yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy was, before she was
Magic.
Was Magic, and she was the best part of the movie. But and then I think Marvel said no, it has to be more Marvel-ish, and kind of edited it. So
Got it.
it wasn't, we have to make it like something else that's popular. We have to make it like ourselves that are popular.
I
It's the same problem.
I will say though, to your thing of like be willing to do more weird, they did with Phase 4, and I think that it didn't do well, not because they tried to do weird, because the weird that they did wasn't written well. Like, I think that I loved the horror of Multiverse of Madness, but it pretty much destroyed the storyline that we invested so deeply with in WandaVision. You know what I mean? So like there were other reasons to dislike it, but
Sure.
because it wasn't a hit, because I'm not going to call it a failure, but because it wasn't a hit, they are probably not going to try that again.
Yeah, every time, if it doesn't make enough money, they get gun shy.
Right. And so I think that's going to be part of the struggles of them wanting to do stuff weird is gun shy. They're snake bitten, they're going to be feeling that right now.
Yeah, allow. I guess that'll be my final point. Allow the creativity of it to have more importance.
Yeah.
Than the potential financial success, because you've done that formula a lot recently, and it hasn't really worked for you. So, like, allow at least lower your budgets and allow creative filmmakers and writers to do something interesting. At the end of the day, you'll need to make less money to be profitable.
Right.
And then you can also say we support young creative filmmakers and make interesting movies. It's like a win-win situation.
I think that overall, my final thoughts would be just stay true to your characters. Don't try to force things. Don't try to add to upsell us with more characters or more storylines or whatever else. Just stay true to your characters, what those characters care about, why we should care about them. And that's what all you need to do. That's how we fell in love with all of your characters in the first place.
Right.
Let us continue to have that. All right.
It's weird that we now have nostalgia for Marvel movies.
That's because we're also old. Because again, it is 15 years, 16 years since it
16 years
started.
now.
Yeah, so we're reaching that nostalgia area. Anyway, Fox, what have you been up to, my friend?
We started watching a show last night called Tulsa King. We've only seen the first episode, but it was pretty great. It's on Paramount Plus. The plot is mafioso gets out of prison after 25 years. He went to prison, took the fall basically for a thing, and went to prison for 25 years. Never said a word. Stayed true to the family. And he gets out and he's expecting, big party, welcome back to the family, and he's essentially told, we have nothing left for you here in New York. We're going to give you Tulsa. We're going to give you Tulsa,
Oklahoma.
And so it's essentially he gets sent to Tulsa to become the head, their guy in Tulsa, like to start the crime,
What year? Like what era is this?
right now.
Oh, okay.
2024 or 2023, I think came out last year. But yeah, so
Interesting.
and so it is mostly a comedy, but it's a comedy in the sense of like it's a lot of fish out of water humor.
Yeah.
It's the main character is played by Rocky Balboa, him.
Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone.
All right.
He's wonderful in it because he does a very good, straightforward, like, I am mafioso tough guy, and he walks into a perfectly legal medical marijuana store and does, and basically is just like, well, who runs this place? This is like, oh, our manager. Some guy in the back, but he's still like, it's almost like it's fish out of water where the fish out of water refuses to learn.
Yeah.
Kind of like refuses to he just applies his standard like mafioso tactics to these new places and the middle of nowhere of Tulsa. And there's a lot of funny jokes in it. It's also like you do care about the characters. Like you like him despite the fact that he's kind of a terrible person. And it's a really fascinating like intersection of comedy and drama. I'm very excited to keep watching it. It was a great first episode.
Have you ever seen Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis?
No.
It similar is not the right, but what you were talking about reminded me of it. It's a good movie. It's one of my turn my brain off movies, and I love it. It's so good if
Okay.
you can just turn your brain off. But it's a like big time hitman gangster, like a man who knows what he's doing in Bruce Willis, but he's on the run. So he left Chicago and he's trying to make it to the border, and he finds a small town. This is like the early 1900s when the West is still a little bit the Wild West, and the East is getting into that gang mafioso type stuff. So he's heading west, and he founds this small Western town that has two rival mafioso gangs, but they're both led by people who the New York and Chicago guys were like, okay, go away, go to Texas. That's where I want you to set up. And so it's all about him essentially manipulating and fleecing both of these gangs, like playing both sides and making so much money, but then them catching on and him having to fight his way out and whatnot, that kind of stuff. So it's really good. Again, it's one of my favorite turn your brain off and watch it movies. I highly recommend it. Anyway, that's not what I've been up to. I watched Madam Web.
Oh man, I'm jealous. I want to watch it.
Because it came out on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it was a night that we had nothing to do and didn't want to think, and so we put on Madam Web. It's a weird movie. Like, my wife was like, it wasn't bad. I didn't dislike it. Like, she was fine with it. For me, nothing happens. Like,
that's what I've heard is the big thing about it, is that it's just kind of a nothing movie.
yeah, like there's a little action, but like all the whole entire premise of the movie is cool things could happen, but she can see the future, and so she stops them from happening.
She stops them.
And so it's like,
I'm gonna stop the plot of this movie.
yeah, it's like this, like literally more than once. It's, oh, we see the bad guy showing up and beating up a ton of people, and a couple of guys try to stand up to him. Oh, but they can't take him. And then he goes and, oh no, he kills one of the main characters. Oh no. And then it all rewinds. And then she just drives a car and hits him with a car.
See, that sounds like a very funny joke.
And that happens twice in the movie. That she just ends up hitting him with a car instead.
That's so good.
Like it's played so seriously and so straightforward, but at the end of the day, it just feels like, well, then why did I even watch this movie? Like, why do I care at all if at the end of the day, nothing happened? Like, if she just prevents all the things from happening, like, it feels like such a waste of my time.
I love the idea of, like, what if at the beginning of Final Destination, the guy has the vision of the plane exploding, and he goes and tells the pilot, and the pilot just says, actually, you know what? I'm gonna listen to you. And it doesn't take
nothing happens, and
the end. The movie is 5 minutes long.
Oh man, it just, yeah, it's weird. And just like you've heard about from the McElroys, CPR is the main character of this film.
Yeah, they make a big deal about one-handed CPR.
It's so weird with the CPR of it all. But it's also supposed to take place in like 2002. And so there is a lot of like early yacht references.
Really?
Because Ben Parker, Uncle Ben,
right, he's played by, what's his name? Yeah,
is a character in this, and so this is like long before Spider-Man's birth
Interesting
and whatnot.
choice.
So yeah, the whole thing, it's a weird movie, and
I can't wait for the next terrible Sony Spider-Man universe movie.
just so they can retain the
Kraven
rights.
Hunter.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Anyway, but you watch it for the comedy's sake. Do it.
Yeah, no, I want to watch it eventually.
Yeah.
We don't have Netflix, so
Oh.
when we get it next, I'll probably watch it. We both been playing Animal Well.
Yeah, it was one of mine too.
Let's talk about Animal Well a little bit. It's
Okay,
an
as much as
interesting
we
game.
can.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, obviously no spoilers. It is a spoiler-ish game as far as like the actual gameplay of it.
So okay,
Interesting.
you got way farther. I've only played about six or 7 hours of it. So let me explain to you what I know of Animal Well, and you
Okay.
can build on this. So in a most recent Besties, Russ called it a Metroidvania, and I loved that term. In as much as it's a Metroidvania, but not that you get new action abilities to go and fight with. You solve puzzles to get new pieces to puzzles so that you can go and solve other puzzles.
It's the kind of thing where you learn something new rather than necessarily have a new ability.
Right.
Like your knowledge about the meta nature of the game changes how you play the game.
and you do get new tools and new items
Yeah,
and
you
things like
do.
that
There-
to
yes.
use. But it is a game in which you are a little blob in it is 16, maybe even 8-bit looking world, and you're
Yes.
wandering around, and there's different like animal lands. There's the bird land
There's
and
the
the
dog
bear
path
land,
and
and yeah, and you're trying to solve puzzles to be able to get to different places and get new items. And sometimes there are flames that you can break open orbs and you get those flames. And that's all I know so far.
Sure.
It's weird. There is one section in which like the animals are in cages, and it was kind of offsetting and
There
weird
are
to
some
see.
yes, it is an interesting tone of a game. It is just kind of strange. Like a lot of the artwork
Yeah.
is strange. A lot of the animal designs is strange. Some of it reminds me of Undertale in how it's
Mhm.
like art, the art style of it. And then there are times where it's genuinely a little creepy. There's one where you go into a room, it's seemingly empty, or no, it's like there's various dogs in this section, and one of them is like a dachshund, like a wiener dog. He's super long, and you get past it, and you can go down beneath it into like this really tight like little like tunnel basically in the ground. And with the other dogs you face, that would be you're safe now. You're not going to get chased by this dog. In this one, it starts making a creepy noise and chases you
Yeah.
through the tunnel.
And you're like,
it's
oh,
oh, this is not just like, oh no, I'm gonna get caught. It's, oh no, this is scary.
yeah,
The noise is off-putting, and that happens several times, especially toward the end of that first layer. From looking at things, there are different layers to the game. You play through the game, that's the first layer, and then you have an quote unquote ending, and then you learn something new, and it's like the next layer of the game, because it doesn't necessarily open a new section of the map. You just learn how to read things or have tools to look at different parts of it in a different way. So anyway, it's not my favorite. I don't enjoy most Metroidvanias. Don't have a very good fast travel system, and
Mhm.
it means like, okay, I want to go explore up in that corner. Okay, I'll fast travel to kind of closer, but then have to solve the same, not solve puzzles, but have to do the same exact platforming 100 times. Like over, you just kind of doing it over and over again because maybe I missed something there, or I did miss something. I have to go back now, and it just gets so annoying. And I really wish there was just more checkpoints or more places to teleport to after you solve a puzzle, after you demonstrate you can do this. I don't want to have to do it again. It
Right.
just becomes annoying and repetitive.
On
And
the
so
stream,
that's my main frustration.
that has easily been my biggest complaints and my biggest nitpick is that if I'm fighting a boss and I lose, it will put me back 3 or 4 screens.
It's the
But
Dark Souls problem.
there are platforming and puzzle challenges to get back to that
Right.
spot. Like even in Dark Souls, you can just run to the boss, and you can
Sure.
mostly just
You still
ignore
have to
the
run
enemies.
through a bunch of nothing, or
Right.
wait instead of just, okay, now I'm here to fight him again. Like, it's very
And then most of the more modern Souls likes are putting whatever the save points is right
Better
outside
checkpoint.
of yeah.
Yeah.
But this has it far enough away, and you have to redo these platforming challenges again. Like there was one where it was like 4 different rooms where I had to go hit the switch in one room to open up another room. I could go and jump on birds and hit another switch to come back, and then climb up and then avoid these floating mouse heads to hit another switch to come back down to get down to where I was.
yeah,
And then if I died down there, I had to come all the way back and do all of that over again. I had to do it like 3 or 4 times. And it's just like, let there be something that just says, you did it. Now the path is open to you.
you will unlock more shortcuts, especially after you get a few new items. To
The fish
use
head,
that
if you the fish heads are one of them
what
with the
now?
bubble wand
Oh,
and the fish
yes.
heads. Yeah.
Yes, there's some ways to fast travel for sure, but it doesn't eliminate it entirely.
Yeah.
And especially in a game that's intentionally obtuse, and like I am at the point where now it's basically I have to go around and collect all these little collectibles, and it's not like the map says, well, now that you've gotten here, we'll show you where they are. You just
Right.
have to solve the puzzles. I just have to look for them. And there's most of the time when I stop playing, it's because I don't want to have to do this part again. I think there's something over there. I don't want to have to go through this whole, part of the game again. So I don't think it, like, there's a lot of people saying it's a game of the year contender. I that I don't really agree with that.
I
It's an interesting concept for like the different layers of it.
right. It has me. And it's one of those games, kind of like Balatro right now, where I keep playing Balatro and I don't know why, but differently in as much as I feel like I'm still progressing towards something in this and I still want to progress towards something in this.
Yeah.
I will say that the thing that I've said a million times about puzzle games, it does a good job of balancing that it's not too easy to make it feel like the game's too easy and it's not too hard to make you feel like you're an idiot. It balances it so well, so when you solve it, you're like, yes, I am incredible.
I agree.
And so it does that really well. And there is enough going on that I'm like, why am I following this little ghost squirrel everywhere? Why are these animals in cages? Like, what? Why is there a neon bunny in this room? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And there is enough weirdness to it that I am really enjoying it. I have not gotten to that second layer yet. So for now, to me, it feels like a really normie Metroidvania,
That was
Metroidvania.
exactly where you were. My
Yeah.
complaint is now purely mechanical.
Yeah.
It's just annoying to have to try to traverse this game and find all the secrets that you need to continue. And it like I'm interested in finding those out, but not interested in doing all the repetitive tasks to then find them out. Like it's kind of shooting itself in the foot a little bit by being so obtuse, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wish it, once you, I'll just repeat myself here. It's good. I'm
Yeah.
glad I didn't pay you. I'm glad I didn't pay for it because it's on the PS. I didn't pay extra for it because it's on the PlayStation catalog. So,
Save Point bought it, so I'm fine.
oh, there you go. Suckers.
Who runs that place? what a doofus. I have now watched the entire first season, now that it's out, of X-Men 97.
Cool.
I have not talked about it yet because I wanted to watch the entire season first. But now that the first season's done, holy crap, is it good. It has done a incredible job of taking the heart and art style and so much of the original X-Men from, it was like a 93 to 97 is when it ran from, and taking that and bringing it into today and having it be the target audience be honestly 30-year-olds who loved the show when they were kids.
That makes sense.
And it's still like your kids can watch it. It's still, a kid's show in that aspect, but the content they talk about, the things that they delve into are so good. They do the Mutant Massacre storyline, if you're familiar with that at all. And it's,
Genosha.
yeah, really, really well done. Brutal, like so much. I cried in one of the episodes. It was just like, holy crap, what is happening here? And at the end of it all, some things happened, no spoilers, that got me hyped for the next seasons. Like moments in X-Men history that are so iconic and huge. You're just like, wah! Like it's happening. The Michael Scott running around saying, it's happening, everybody, it's happening. And so if you have not seen the original X-Men cartoon from back in the early 90s, this is so good. It's worth going back and watching all of those to watch this. I will say
I'll probably watch it eventually.
it's not perfect. It occasionally stays too true to the original, and there's like a couple of half episodes where half of it feels entirely pointless and dumb. Like there's one half episode that's Mojo, and Mojo shows up, and then they deal
Everybody's favorite.
and then they deal with Mojo, and then it's over. And it's like that did nothing to progress the storyline here. But overall, it is incredibly well done. Some people are out there being like, "Oh, they tried to make it woke. They're calling morph by they them pronouns, and that's woke."
It's called X-Men. What do you?
Yeah, and I'm like, do you know what the X-Men are? Like, you know what's happening here? Do you understand the X-Men? But I'll say that it's outstanding. It really, really is outstanding.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it eventually. We watched a movie called High Fidelity. I'm sure you've heard of it. John Cusack.
Yeah.
Classic. Early 2000s, probably late 90s, early.
Yeah,
2000s.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I had watched it a long time ago and liked it a little bit, but had forgotten. It's not. I found it very vapid. The concept is guy owns a record
shop.
store, gets broken up with by his girlfriend, and the movie is him going back through his like 5 most like devastating breakups in his life and like getting in contact with them and like seeing what the problem was it his fault, and trying to draw a through line. He's the problem with the movie is he's not a likable person and doesn't really become one. Like the whole time he's just like, oh, it wasn't my fault, cool, bye, and like just doesn't care. Like he like even if he is like a hurtful person,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of character growth toward the end, but mostly he's just kind of a vapid, selfish person, which really just kills the whole thing. And that combined with the fact that he runs this record store, and it's talked about in the movie, but he and the 2 guys that work for him, one of which is Jack Black, pretty early Jack Black role, but he's undoubtedly Jack Black. They're all very snobbish about music.
Right.
And it definitely has this like, it has a target audience that definitely feels like a college age, definitely college me, where it's like you have very specific, correct opinions on things.
Yeah.
And, art is supposed to be high, this kind of way. And if you don't like that, then you're just, a normie or, a yuppie or whatever. And watching it later, it just comes off as immature mostly. Is not great. It also wasn't very funny mostly. Like it just, I wouldn't recommend it. It was one that really only works well if you watch it when you're younger and then never revisit it.
It's a cult classic, that's for sure.
Oh,
like
100%.
There are people that love it deeply. That and Gross Point Blank, I think, is what it is.
Oh,
yeah.
there's plenty. Yeah.
But
yeah, I think the other one would be there's one about running a record store that I forget what it's called. I haven't actually watched it yet, but yeah, it's definitely a very of its time movie.
Yeah.
And frustratingly so.
Empire Records is one I loved in college.
That's what I was thinking of.
And I need to go back and watch Empire Records. I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm wondering if it's going to hold up. But yeah. Anyway, that's all I got.
Same.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been wonderful. Hey, let us know what you have been thinking. Put down in the comments, or you can email Fox at Mr. Just kidding. You can.
Don't do that.
Or you can just join us on the streams and let us know. Anyway, I'll say that. Let us know your thoughts on the future of the Marvel and DC universe, what you think's going on with that. Let us know what Pokemon you'd most like to eat. We want to say a big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do most of my neighbors, off of the album Dear Sam. Granger's music is good, and I like to listen to it.
Yeah, that's a very concise, true statement.
Yeah.
Hey, the Nerdy Gritty is part of a larger organization called Save Point Ministries. Our whole deal is, while it is great to have a community online and have people you can connect with and watch a stream with or whatever it might be, it is even better to have an in-person, actual, physical community of people that you can live life with. And we think the best way to do that is through your local church. And so Save Point Ministries exists to connect people with a mostly online, community with a church where their hobbies and interests and all that would not be ridiculed, to connect with people. If you like a card game, if you like video games, all that, to find a local church that you can connect with and start to just be in person with people again, or for the first time even. And so if that sounds like you, if that sounds like something you might be interested in, please go to savepointministries.com and or put it in the comments or something. We will, we would love to work with you and make that and connect you with a local church wherever you might be.
And just one final reminder that all of these are always live streamed every other Wednesday. So if you're listening to this on a podcast later, but you'd love to join us on a live stream, we stream every other Wednesday from 1 to 2:30. Yep, 1 to 2:30. I did it. Pacific time. We'd love to have you in the chat. Thank you again for being here. And always remember that save games, save lives.
Bye.
My voice
we're back to hit up the comments, see what everybody's been saying in the chat here. Looks like we only got one guy here saying good discussions. Yeah.
Hey,
Thanks. Yeah.
actually, no, I disagree. Let's debate about
Ooh,
that.
yeah. You always disagree about everything. No, I don't.
This was terrible.
So that's going to do it for us this stream, you guys. Thanks again for being here. A reminder, you can jump into our Discord. You can jump into Save Point. There's all kinds of stuff in the chat here to help you connect with us however you want to. A thank you to Wandering Gemini for the follow and to Chuckle J for the follow. We appreciate you both. We are at 227 followers, pushing 250. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, getting pretty big here, and I love it. Thanks again for listening, guys. We love that each and every one of you were here today, but always remember there's a church out there that would love it if you were there. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.